The kingdom of God is now. The present moment is the door. For thousands of years, humanity has searched for God. Some searched in temples. Some searched in churches. Some searched in scriptures. Some searched among the stars. Some searched deep inside themselves. Yet, what if the one we have been searching for has never been hiding? Jesus said, "The kingdom of God is within you. Not tomorrow, not after death, not somewhere beyond the clouds. Within you, here, now." The Buddha pointed to exactly the same mystery. He said, "Within this very body are suffering, the origin of suffering, the end of suffering, and the path." Different words, different cultures, yet perhaps they were pointing toward the same reality, not another place, not another lifetime, but this very moment. Reality is astonishingly simple. It is simply what is happening, nothing more, nothing less. When awareness becomes completely present with what is happening, awakening begins, not because reality changes, but because the illusion finally stops. Imagine you are drinking a glass of water. Your hand lifts the cup. Coolness touches your lips. Pleasure appears. Joy naturally arises. Nothing is wrong. Nothing needs to change. This is life. The Buddha invited us to observe every experience through 4 living dimensions: the body, feeling, mind, and the unfolding movement of reality itself. Body moving, feeling arising, mind responding, reality unfolding. This is what he called the 4 foundations of mindfulness. Not a belief, not a ritual, but seeing life exactly as it unfolds. Now watch carefully. There are 3 completely different universes hidden inside this same moment. The first universe, the ego enters. This water is wonderful. I hope I can drink more. I don't want this feeling to end. Nothing outside changes. Yet inside, ownership appears, desire appears, fear appears, time appears, suffering begins. This is Samsara. The second universe, the same water, the same body, the same pleasant feeling, the same joy, but awareness remains. The body drinks, pleasure arises, joy appears, everything changes, everything passes, nothing is possessed, nothing is rejected, no one owns the experience. Reality simply unfolds. This is Nirvana. The third universe. Suppose attachment appears, greed appears, fear appears, anger appears, the ego awakens. Yet, the very instant, awareness sees it exactly as it is, without resisting, without following, without identifying. The spell is broken. The greed is seen. The anger is seen. The fear is seen. And because they are seen, they no longer become who you are. This is the miracle both Jesus and the Buddha were pointing toward. Jesus said, "Remain in me." Perhaps he was not inviting us into another religion. Perhaps he was inviting us to remain inside reality itself. The Buddha called it right mindfulness. Jesus called it abiding. Different words, the same presence. There is one final mystery. Reality never contains what comes next. Only the mind creates what comes next. The moment thought reaches toward tomorrow, psychological time is born, expectation is born, fear is born, hope is born, suffering is born. Reality contains only this breath, this body, this feeling, this mind, this living moment, nothing else. This is why heaven is not somewhere waiting after death, and nirvana is not something waiting at the end of spiritual practice. Both are discovered only when nothing inside is resisting what already is. Perhaps the kingdom of God and nirvana have never been 2 different destinations. Perhaps they have always been the same living reality, waiting to be seen here, now, exactly as it is. Maybe the greatest misunderstanding in spirituality is believing that the ego must be destroyed. But what if the ego disappears the very moment it is completely seen? Imagine someone criticizes you. Instantly, your body tightens. A feeling appears. Thoughts begin to race. Emotions surge. Anger, defense, fear. Most people believe, I am angry. But look more carefully. Is there really an I creating anger? Or is anger simply happening? This is where the Buddha invited us to look. Not at an idea, not at a philosophy, but a direct experience. First, there is contact. Eyes meet form. Ears meet sound. Then, feeling appears. Pleasant, unpleasant, neutral. Next, the mind begins naming, judging, remembering, imagining. Then intention arises. Reaction begins. Only after all of this does the illusion appear. I, my anger, my fear, my suffering. Yet when awareness remains present, the whole process becomes visible. Body, feeling, perception, mental formations, consciousness. Nothing is hidden anymore. And something extraordinary happens. The ego cannot survive being fully seen. It only survives when it remains unconscious. Darkness never leaves because we fight it. Darkness disappears because light arrives. Awareness is that light. The Buddha called it right mindfulness. Jesus called it the light of the world. Both pointed to the same mystery. When awareness shines, ignorance dissolves. When ignorance dissolves, the illusion of separation fades. This is why Nirvana is not somewhere else. The kingdom of God is not somewhere else. They appear the instant reality is seen exactly as it is. Not tomorrow, not after enlightenment. Now, most people believe awakening means becoming endlessly peaceful, loving, or free from negative emotions. But that is not what awakening is. Awakening simply means seeing reality as it is. If anger appears, see anger. If fear appears, see fear. If compassion appears, see compassion. Nothing needs to be rejected. Nothing needs to be held on to. The problem is never the emotion itself. The problem is whether awareness is present. Imagine anger suddenly arises. Immediately the mind says, I shouldn't be angry. I need to get rid of this. I must become peaceful. At that very moment, you are no longer seeing anger. You are chasing an imaginary future. And that chase is the ego. The desire to become someone better is still the ego trying to survive. What if, instead of trying to remove anger, you simply looked at it, not judging, not suppressing, not feeding it, just observing? How does it feel inside the body? Where does it begin? How does it move? What thought gave it life? What happens if it is completely seen? Then anger becomes your teacher, not your enemy. Fear works exactly the same way. Fear is simply another movement appearing inside awareness. When you fight fear, fear grows. When you completely understand fear, it naturally dissolves. Light never fights darkness. When light appears, darkness simply disappears. Awareness works the same way. Every moment of daily life becomes practice. Walking, know that you are walking. Breathing, know that you are breathing. Opening a door, know that you are opening the door. Drinking water, know every movement. Your hand reaches for the glass. Your fingers touch it. Coolness touches the lips. The throat swallows. Pleasant sensations arise. Simply know. Nothing more. Most people think awareness comes after emotions. That is why anger catches them by surprise. First comes anger. Then, minutes later, they realize, I was angry. Awareness came too late. But as awareness grows, something changes. At first, you recognize anger after it happens. Later, you recognize it while it is happening. Eventually, you recognize the conditions before anger even begins. Awareness starts arriving first. The ego can no longer take control. This is why awakening is not about creating a perfect mind. It is about allowing awareness to illuminate every experience, whether joy comes or sorrow, whether love comes or anger. Everything is welcomed, everything is seen, everything is understood. Nothing needs to disappear, because once reality is fully seen, there is no one left to fight it. And in that seeing, the ego quietly comes to an end. Perhaps this is why both the Buddha and Jesus spoke of the same reality using different words. Christianity says, everything happens according to the will of God. Buddhism says, everything unfolds according to the Dharma. If God is understood not as a separate being, but as the living intelligence through which reality continuously unfolds, then the will of God and the Dharma are no longer two different things. They are the same reality seen through different languages. Neither Jesus nor the Buddha came to create another religion. They came to reveal what has always been true. Jesus called it the Word. The Buddha called it Dharma. Both were simply pointing toward reality itself. This is why Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. Perhaps the way is not merely a person to worship, but the direct path back to our own true nature. The Buddha described that same path through mindfulness and the Noble Eightfold Path, not as beliefs, but as a way of living that returns us to direct seeing, to live in harmony with reality, to live in accordance with the Dharma, to let life unfold without adding our own endless judgments, concepts, or resistance. Reality is already exactly what it is. Joy comes, no joy. Sorrow comes, no sorrow. Pleasure comes, no pleasure. Pain comes, no pain. Nothing needs to be rejected. Nothing needs to be possessed. Everything becomes a teacher. When we stop fighting reality, we discover an extraordinary freedom, not because life becomes easier, but because we are no longer at war with life. This is where true happiness is born, not the happiness that depends on getting what we want, but the quiet joy that naturally appears when the heart moves in harmony with reality itself. And perhaps this is also the hidden meaning of the tree of life, not a tree growing somewhere outside of us, but the living reality that has always been flowing through us. Every breath, every heartbeat, every moment of awareness. When we awaken, we do not enter life. We realize that we have never been separate from it. The tree of life has always been here, and gratitude arises naturally, not because someone tells us to be grateful, but because we finally see that every moment, every experience, every joy, every sorrow has quietly been guiding us back home. Perhaps the greatest misunderstanding about awakening is believing that an awakened person must always remain silent, still, and passive. But what if awakening has never meant escaping life? Imagine the ocean. Sometimes it is perfectly calm. Sometimes powerful waves appear. Yet, the ocean never stops being the ocean. Awareness works the same way. When nothing needs to be done, awareness naturally rests in silence. Clear, open, completely present. But when life calls, when work arrives, when money must be managed, when children need your attention, or when difficult decisions must be made, awareness does not disappear. It simply responds in another way. Carefulness, attention, observation, not anxiety, not control, simply complete presence. This is the difference between the ego and awareness. The ego acts because it wants to control the future. Awareness acts because this moment asks for action. The ego is always asking, what will I get? Awareness simply asks, what is needed? Right now, when the work is finished, nothing remains. No psychological burden. No pride. No regret. No attachment. Only silence. Once again, this is why awakening is not running away from the world. It is learning how to move through the world without ever leaving your own true nature. But there is something even more important. How do you know whether you are living from awareness or from the ego? The answer is surprisingly simple. Look at your mind. Is it constantly being pulled from one thought to another, from one emotion to another, from one desire to another? Or is there something deeper that quietly sees all of it? The Buddha called this awareness. Jesus called it the kingdom within. Thoughts come and go. Emotions come and go. Fear appears. Joy appears. Anger appears. Compassion appears. Everything changes. But something never changes. Something is always watching. Imagine the surface of the ocean. Waves rise. Waves fall. Some waves are gentle. Others become storms. Yet, no matter how wild the waves become, they never stop being water. The mind is like the waves. Awareness is like the ocean itself. The problem is not that thoughts appear. The problem is that the wave believes it has become separate from the ocean. The moment the wave realizes, I have always been water. Everything changes. Life continues. Thoughts still appear. Work continues. Conversations continue. But now, nothing is clung to. The ancient masters expressed it beautifully. When circumstances arise, the mind responds. When circumstances pass, the mind returns to emptiness. This does not mean becoming passive. It means never forgetting where home is. The awakened person may travel through countless experiences, yet never loses the way back, because home was never a place. Home has always been awareness itself. If awareness is always here, then one question remains. How do we actually live from it? The answer is astonishingly simple. Not tomorrow. Not after years of meditation. Not after becoming a different person. Right here. Right now. This moment. Most people are never fully present. While eating, they are already thinking about tomorrow. While walking, they are replaying yesterday. While listening, they are preparing their next response. The body is here, but the mind is somewhere else. This is suffering, because reality only exists here. Never in memory, never in imagination, only now. Imagine holding a glass of water. Your hand reaches out. Your fingers touch the glass. Coolness meets the skin. You lift it. The water touches your lips. The throat swallows. Pleasant sensations arise. Simply know it. Nothing more. No story. No judgment. No resistance. No craving for another sip. Just complete awareness. This is meditation. Not sitting on a mountain. Not escaping the world. But being completely alive inside this ordinary moment. Walking, no, you are walking. Breathing, no, you are breathing. Speaking, no, you are speaking. Listening, no, you are listening. Life becomes the meditation. This is what Jesus called remaining in the Father. This is what the Buddha called mindfulness. Different words, the same invitation. To live without leaving reality. And something extraordinary happens. The present moment is no longer a bridge to somewhere else. It becomes the destination itself. There is nothing missing, nothing delayed, nothing waiting, only this. Completely whole. Perhaps heaven has never been a place waiting after death. Perhaps Nirvana has never been a distant goal. Perhaps both have always been hidden inside one ordinary moment, fully seen. The kingdom of God is now. The Dharma is now. Life is now. And when nothing is missing from this moment, who is left to suffer? Perhaps this is what happiness has always been. Not holding on to a perfect moment, not trying to stop change, but flowing with impermanence through complete awareness. Life is never standing still. Reality is a living stream. One moment becomes the next. One breath becomes another. One experience gives birth to the next. The body changes. Feelings change. The mind changes. The world changes. Every moment is born, lives, and disappears, only to make room for another. Awakening is not arriving at some final state. It is fully seeing the movement of reality exactly as it unfolds. This is what the Buddha called seeing body, feeling, mind, and reality exactly as they are. Truth does not set you free because you believe it. Truth sets you free because you finally see it. Not yesterday, not tomorrow, now, exactly as it is. And perhaps this is the greatest gift a human being can offer the world. Not another belief, not another argument, but complete presence. When you are fully present, something invisible begins to radiate. Peace, clarity, healing. Not because you are trying to heal anyone, but because reality itself is already whole. Your presence simply allows others to remember their own. In Buddhism, this is called merit, goodness, born from wise action, kind speech, compassionate thought, But there is another kind of merit, one that cannot be measured. The merit of acting without a separate self, without pride, without possession, without seeking recognition. Every action performed from pure awareness becomes sacred, not because of what is done, but because of where it comes from. Perhaps this is also what Jesus meant by grace. To live far from God is not merely to break a commandment. It is to forget the present moment, to become lost inside the illusion of separation. But the moment awareness returns, grace is already here. The journey from sin to grace is simply the journey from unconsciousness back to the living presence of God. And perhaps that presence has never been somewhere else. It has always been the awareness through which life is happening right now. Perhaps this is why the Buddha declared at his birth, "Above heaven and earth, I alone am the honored one." For centuries, many believed these words were spoken by an ego. But perhaps the Buddha was never speaking about a person. He was pointing to the only reality that is truly supreme, the timeless awareness present within every being. Later, he would say, "Be an island unto yourself, your own refuge," not because we should believe in ourselves, but because the deepest refuge has never been outside us. Some traditions say you are the only child of God. Perhaps only does not mean that no one else belongs. Perhaps it means that every being is utterly unique, an unrepeatable expression of the infinite. No one can live your life. No one can awaken for you. There is only this unique expression of life appearing as you. But first, we must understand the difference between I and myself. The I, created by thought, is the ego. It is the one who compares, judges, defends, and fears. But myself is simply this living process, body, feelings, mind, and experience appearing moment by moment. Not an identity, but life itself glowing. This was the discovery that transformed Prince Siddhartha. He mastered the deepest states of meditation. Yet, suffering remained. He embraced the harshest forms of asceticism. Still, truth remained hidden. Only when every effort collapsed did something astonishing appear. He remembered a simple moment from childhood. Sitting quietly beneath a rose apple tree, there was nothing to attain, nothing to reject, nothing to become. Only simple, clear, living awareness. And perhaps that ordinary awareness had been the way all along. Truth had never been hidden. It had only been covered by our endless searching. Perhaps this is what meditation has always been. Not escaping the world. Not forcing the mind to become silent. Meditation is simply bringing the light of awareness into the moment you are living. This moment may contain joy or sorrow, peace or anger, fear or compassion. It does not matter what appears. The only question is, do you truly see it? Can you remain fully present with what is happening right now without trying to change it, without trying to escape it, without calling it good or bad? Life is always teaching. Every breath, every step, every heartbeat, every emotion, every thought. The Dharma is already revealing itself through your own life. No two lives are exactly the same. Yet reality moves through every being with perfect wisdom. When anger appears, see anger. When love appears, see love. Not because one emotion is holy and the other is sinful, but because awareness is equally present to both. The awakened mind does not cling to peace. No. Does it resist conflict? It simply sees perfectly, clearly, silently. This is true meditation. Not becoming someone special, but allowing awareness to illuminate every moment of ordinary life. Perhaps the Buddha is not the one who wishes to become a Buddha. Perhaps the Buddha is simply the one who completely sees this moment. And perhaps the one still dreaming of becoming enlightened is only the ego wearing spiritual clothes. The moment is already complete. Reality is already whole. Nothing is missing. The only question is, are you here to see it?